as we were talking, again, the real question here, once you start thinking about ABM, once you've made that commitment, or even if you haven't made that commitment yet and you want to test that commitment, there's always questions inside the organization. All right, what does all this really mean and how do I get started, right? Here at Avention, we're in a pretty unique situation and fortunate situation in that we do deal with the largest marketing organizations worldwide, and we are able to collect and understand some of those best practices. So what we're going to do is walk through a few of the best practices and a few of the steps that we're seeing out there, and maybe give you some ideas about what it is you should be thinking when you're getting ready to start your ABM program. Just to kind of back up a second, and for those of you that already know this, I apologize, but those of you that don't, it might be some good background. ABM is basically what has been called the flipping of the traditional lead generation funnel, right? The traditional lead generation starts with a lot of names, a lot of individuals. You might have purchased these lists. They might be lists that exist inside your company already. You might be trade show participants, whatever it happens to be. And through a series of programs and a series of self-selection, traditional lead generation will take those many people and basically reduce them to the few that you're going to be passing through to your sales organization or focusing on for eventual sales. The key there, though, is that it's self-selection of those people through that traditional lead generation process. So you really don't know what it is you're going to end up with at the end of that process, although they should be self-selected to be reasonable targets for marketing and subsequent sales. In the account-based marketing world, we flip that funnel around, and really we're going to start by trying to understand and discover the companies that we really, really want to or believe should be customers of ours. Now, these might be existing customers that need more product, or these might be net new customers that we don't know about yet, but yet we're going to start with identifying the accounts or the companies that we believe we should be selling to. Once we discover those accounts, then of course we're going to begin to target them and expand our understanding of those accounts, including the contacts and the organizational structures and the insights necessary in order to really truly understand those accounts. Once we've done that, then we're going to design our programs. Once we've designed our programs, we engage in the marketing programs that then subsequently hopefully will bring us success inside those organizations. But at the top of that pyramid, and back to getting started, right, we're going to talk about how we're going to identify and make sure that those accounts that we've selected are the right ones, because as you can see, it's the foundation of the process. If you don't get the accounts selected correctly, then your engagement at the end will suffer. So ABM step by step. There are many of these out there. This is Avention's, but there are some that are very similar, but all of them pretty much say the same thing, that when you're engaging in ABM, you're going to go through a series of steps that will be discovering and targeting of the accounts that you're trying to select. And then once you've selected those accounts, you're going to go through design and engagement steps that allow you to interact with those potential customers and prospects. The discovery and targeting, as well as the design and engagement, is a cross-functional activity involving both marketing and sales. So you're really working across both marketing and sales to make sure that you've targeted the right accounts and that you're engaged with the right accounts. What we'll be focusing on primarily today are those top three steps. Again, getting started. Where is it I'm supposed to start? We call it the art of the start. It's the art of the ABM start. And really involves three primary steps. Number one, know your market. That's basically you have to gain a complete understanding of who it is that you're trying to sell to or have already sold to, because what we're going to do is try to expand that universe and create a greater understanding of who it is you want to sell to. Once you know your market or have profiled it, you're going to want to identify and validate those targets. Once you've identified and validated the targets, you're going to want to populate those targets with as much information about them as is necessary to conduct your engagement and your subsequent marketing. So in other words, we have to understand what it is we're going after. We have to then begin to fill the list of accounts that we're going after, and then once we fill that list, we have to find out and identify as many data points about those accounts as possible, because now only at that point will I be capable of engaging those accounts, the correct accounts, with the right information. So first step, know your market. What does that really mean? Well, it's amazing how many marketers really, truly don't know their market. They might know it along a certain set of characteristics, things like what geographies are they coming from, what industries are they basically coming on from, how big are they? But typically they begin to stop there. There are hundreds, if not literally thousands of questions that you should be able to ask yourself about your own particular market, including things like what technologies are in use, how quickly are they growing, what business events have occurred recently, are they under new leadership, what products have they purchased recently. All of these types of characteristics can be mapped to accounts to help you profile which ones are purchasing your products or likely to purchase your products and which ones aren't. Now, you can really do this along two dimensions. One is you can take your existing accounts and understand which accounts of your existing world might be ready for upsell or additional revenue opportunities, or you can take your existing accounts and profile them with the intention of finding new accounts that you don't know about yet and expanding your universe and expanding your revenue with net new business. But the first step is know your market. Now, the only way you can do this is with a partner that has the information that can answer a lot of these questions. So it is a process in which you are submitting your companies and your accounts into systems and or partnerships with vendors that can come back and begin to answer these questions for you. This is what we are fortunate to be able to do at Avention across the world with global companies, and the insight that we bring during this step allows these companies then to make the correct profiling account selection decisions. The next step is to profile and target your accounts. That first step was to be able to understand the profile that you were going after. The next step is to actually be able to fill those accounts up with real names. Think of it as a giant spreadsheet where every row in that spreadsheet is going to be an account that you're going to want to target. The columns in that spreadsheet are data elements that you're going to need in order to engage those customers. Things like contact information, growth, industry, how big are they, all the answers to those questions we talked about during profiling. And what you're really going to want to do here is make a decision as to whether you're doing what is labeled here as 1, 2, or both. Number one is I'm trying to find accounts for account management. In other words, I'm trying to prioritize my existing accounts because I'm trying to find out which ones are capable of upselling and generating resell business. Or am I number two, where I'm trying to find accounts that I don't already have? I'm trying to expand my account universe and look at this for reasons of new business acquisitions. The reason you have to identify those as separate is those are two very separate problems to solve in the data world. One is you're taking accounts that you already have and we're trying to map it to as many characteristics as possible to prioritize them correctly. The other one is we're taking profiles of an account that you would like to find more of and bouncing that against the world data to try to find companies out there that match that particular profile that you don't already know about. The next step is to understand your contact points. We encourage this as best practice to do this based upon function and role. Function meaning things like finance, IT, HR, sales, operations. Role meaning C-level, VP level, director manager level, staff level. If you think of it in terms of function and role and not necessarily by title, then you end up with something that's called the decision matrix here. And so when you're designing your ABM campaign, remember we've already got our accounts selected at this point. So what it is we're trying to do is understand who within those accounts we're trying to target and would like to target. So in this particular example, I'm targeting 2 levels of finance, all levels of IT, and 3 levels of sales. And because what you're going to want to end up doing at the end of the day is designing custom messages and custom programs to reach out and touch each one of those individual decision matrix cells. Now, when you do that, you're going to have information about each one of those people, not only who they are, but how long have they been there and what are their roles and what's the organization chart look like underneath them. Again, it's extra data you're going to need. So at the end of the day, what you've got now is you need to assemble all of the necessary insights for these accounts and these contacts that you've assembled. For each account, you're going to want to find account insights. Again, think of the spreadsheet, the row being the account name, the columns being each of the insights. You need their financials. You might need their employment data. You might need their industry associations, what technologies are in use, What recent business events or discontinuities have they gone through? What's their purchasing intent look like, online or offline? All of that is data that can be assimilated around accounts and made available. For each contact, you're going to want contact information, email addresses, phone numbers. You want to know their decision capabilities, their tenure, their other associations, social handles, and there are literally hundreds, if not thousands more data points are available. And when you're working, again, with a vendor such as Avention, we'll help you pull those things through and fill out that spreadsheet, if you will, for all of your accounts. Because what you're trying to do is answer all of those questions we had in the beginning, because you need answers to those questions so that you can design your custom messaging for your account matrix. All of that goes into what ends up being a customized data model for your account-based management integration or your engagement. Okay, so now you're ready to go. At the end of the day, we talked about 1, 2, 3, and after you get through 1, 2, 3, you can begin to get into your engagement and your design and your engagement steps of ABM. But after you've executed 1, 2, 3 correctly, our best practice, our view of the world is you're going to want to exit those first 3 steps with a complete understanding of the profile of the accounts you want to target, the contacts inside those accounts, and insights about those accounts and those contacts. And you're going to want that data so that you can execute specific messaging, offers, and content, either in real time or not, and execute those programs. But only when you have that data pulled together and modeled and accessible can you really truly execute on 4, 5, and 6 at scale. So that's a very quick run through of how we believe you should be getting started on some of this. It is a data-centric start. But if you are executing ABM at scale, and by scale it could be anything of 50 accounts or over, you're going to need to think of it in mass like this and drive it based upon data, and so you can get to yourself